So last autumn, we reached out to creative people in and around Dudley who we thought might be interested in developing ways of helping other people to unlock their imaginations, think about the future, and together start to create visions for what Dudley could become 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And we call those people time rebels. So when we thought about inviting people to be time rebels, we wanted all different kinds of people. So part of it was like a bit of a call out to say, do we know a poet who might be a time rebel? Do we know an artist who might be a time rebel? Do we know a researcher? Do we know an architect? Do we know a designer? Do we know a videographer? We were asking all these different kinds of people, a photographer, if they want to be a time rebel.
I think as time rebels, we've all got a desire to think about the future to a certain extent, to go forward in time, think about what things could be like, and kind of bring that back and try and make it relevant to what it's like today. I think for a lot of us, it's about trying to encourage people to think about the future a little bit more than they do at the minute, because lives are difficult. People live in the present very much, and in the past in Dudley a lot. So trying to get them to think a little bit about future state is hard. It's not an easy process. But I think if we want things to change, it's got to be people led, and just getting like shopkeepers, for example, to think about how it could be different in this high street area for them, for their business, for their interaction with the people and their customers. I think you kind of got to take them on that journey a little bit. So I think what we've all got in common as time rebels is that ability to kind of paint that picture for them, and maybe try and get them to think about it in a slightly more creative but quite an engaging way.
It's been a really interesting project. We've kind of learnt to become a time rebel through a series of meetings and discussions, which has been really valuable, I suppose, for learning those principles that are at the heart of being a time rebel. I think everyone has come at it in a different way, but I think the core is thinking about the future, thinking about what a more interesting future for the high street would be, somewhere that's more welcoming, and finding different ways of doing that. So allowing people to respond in different ways. So the people we're interacting with, or the people that growing up in Dudley are interacting with, they'll all do it in slightly different ways. People interacting with Rick's of poetry. It's allowing people different points of contact, I suppose, with the time rebels, and to start spreading those ideas and spreading those messages.
The what if is imagining a future where we have that kindness, we have that relational, we have connection with people. So in playing and interacting with others, and playing to have that sense of community back on the streets as well, especially with the lockdown and with COVID, and we're still in it, we're still in the pandemic, and it's how we can have a future where we are not isolated. And even when we are isolated, the idea is, can we have spaces where we can still see people, we can still interact with people, we don't necessarily have to be sitting next to them. Can we have that kind of space? Can we have that kind of high streets in the future?
There seems to be a common thread that's popped up over the weekend, where a lot of people have got a lot of love for Dudley, but certainly from a more nostalgic point of view. A lot of people say it's a beautiful town, had lots of independent shops here, lots of places to eat and drink, and at the moment they don't feel that the same. But a few people have mentioned like, why can't it be like that again? Sort of how can we get it to be like that? So why can't Dudley be like Ludlow or Stratford upon Avon? There's lots of beautiful buildings here. How can we attract independent businesses, young kind of entrepreneurs to kind of set up in the town and bring an independent character? This makes people want to visit the town and have a unique experience rather than going to like the Merry Hill and going to another chain store. Let's make Dudley an independent town, almost like a market town.
It's an opportunity to think about the high street in a different way, Dudley in a different way. And so what we've got in common is a whole different set of disciplines and ways of thinking that come together. But I always say mostly it's about time. Everything's about time and the passage of time. And so for me, Time Rebels is an opportunity to explore that in a particular place. It's about this place really, and being a time rebel is an opportunity to do that.
Time Rebels, I think it's in the title, it's about time, so we're looking back to how things used to be, we're looking at how things are now, and then we're looking at how things might be in the future. So there's that thread of time running through all of our activities. But then the second bit is rebel, so we're wanting to be rebellious a bit and disruptive, and maybe kind of get people to see things in a different way by being a bit disruptive and sort of shaking things up a bit.